in TimeCatchApp. TimeCatchApp works on a hierarchy in which you create the project and then you create tasks within that project in which you record your time. So let's start with a project creation. I click on that big red plus button on the project task box in order to create a task. I create a new task by entering in the name, brand new project. And then I have the ID and the owner. The rest of the items are optional, and I can click on the create button. Project was added successfully, so let's go find the project in our dashboard. There is the brand new project, and I get a brand new project task, a task, default task created with the same name as the project, in which I can start clocking in right away. Let me show you another project that I have created that has the default project with the task name, which every project I create will have a task that I can start clocking in right away. Besides that, when I clock in into any of these tasks, I get the ability to enter a memo in which I can specify what I have been doing in that particular session, so that it's very useful as a reminder for showing clients and for billing purposes. Every session in a task can have a memo attached to it so that you can see exactly what you were doing at that session. When you clock into a new task, you're automatically clocked out of the first, so that you will never be in two tasks at the same time. You don't have to remember to clock out. TimeCatchApp does that for you. Another feature that is very helpful is this active widget. Once I clock in, that follows me through the app, reminding me that I am clocked in, and I can clock out by clicking on that and clocking out from wherever I am on the app, and I will show you that later. Let's show you how to create a new task. You again click on the big red button, this time in the task box, and you create a new task by entering the name, task description if desired. The project is automatically entered. Enter owner, assign users from a drop-down list, or you can type in users. You can specify billable or non-billable. The start date is populated with the current date, but you can customize it from the calendar. And the due date is always 7 days by default from the start date, but you can change that as well. The drop down for the status shows 3 options: pending, in progress, and completed. You also have a 4th status, which is waiting for a future start date. And while I'm talking about start and due dates, TimeCatchApp sends you automatic email reminders of upcoming start dates and upcoming due dates to keep you on track. You can also enter hours expected, which is helpful in the time reports for comparison of actual versus expected time. A very, very useful feature that adds so much to this task management is the ability to link documents and upload documents and attach them to your task and store them with your task. This is very helpful because the documents move with the task and you can always find them and you will never lose them. So you can add links there, and once you create the task, you can upload documents as well. Now let's talk about editing the task once we've created it. I mentioned the waiting status, and I was going to show you how to do that. We can combine that with editing so that you can see what happens. I click on task 3 and I get a dialog box that has an edit task button, and I click on the edit task. I go down and put a future start date. And the status is automatically changed to waiting. I update the task. The task has been updated successfully. Go back to the dashboard and let's look at what's the status is of my project. It's now waiting, and notice that when it's waiting, the clock in button is grayed out, so I can no longer clock in till that start date. The same is true of completed projects. They're grayed out. Now notice I can view the documents from there by clicking on it, or I have an action items with each task. Let's look at the documents from here. And there's the document. I can view it by clicking on it, or I can check and upload these documents. Going back to the dashboard. And in the example project, I want to show you the next action item, which is time report. When I click on time report, I get the time report that's associated with this particular task. And notice that there's the memos that are attached to each session. I can also see a summary by time. Let's try for all, but by week. There's by week, by day. Those are the different options. I go back, and the other options in the example are to duplicate the task, in which case I get a copy of task 1, copy of task 2. I can delete the task, or I can mark it as complete, in which case I can no longer clock in because it's grayed out. Let's look at how this follows me through the app. When I was in time report, the widget followed me because I'm still clocked in. If I click on that, I have the ability to clock out of that task from here. So I hope you enjoyed this video and it was useful to you in understanding how to use the time and task creation and management features of TimeCatchApp. It's your time. Make it pay.